Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're doing a showcase. We're looking at American Splendor #1. It all started here, by Harvey Pekar. I always say his name wrong. We all saw him on David Letterman. We saw the American Splendor movie with Paul Giamatti, and I've been fascinated by Harvey Pekar since I used to be a big fanboy of David Letterman, and then something, I don't know what it was. It was maybe around the mid '90s when all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? I don't like these talk shows anymore. All they are is commercials. I'm watching commercials, and then the guests come on, and all they're doing is try to sell me something. So it's like I'm watching commercials to watch a TV show about people trying to sell me stuff. It was all commercials, all the way down. So I just stopped cold turkey with talk shows. So there you go. But that has nothing. But I bought American Splendor comics, and I've never read any of them. So I have a big stack of American Splendor comics, but I'm a crazy person. It took me 20 years to track down and get an affordable copy of issue #1. There was a sticker on it that I peeled off. There's a little bit of scuff over here, but it's still better than this grocery store orange sticker. You know what I mean? But I guess that made it affordable for me. Otherwise, this is in remarkable condition. So let's open it up and check it out. For those of you who may or may not know, I'm a big fan of comics like Love and Rockets and independent comics. It's not all cape shit with me, although my first love is cape shit, meaning superhero stuff. So here it is, Guy How to Pick Up Girls. This was... this is Robert Crumb. So Robert Crumb, it's basically Harvey Pekar tell a story of how he browbeat Robert Crumb to draw a 2-page story for him. So this is the story of him telling Robert Crumb to draw a story for him. Very meta, And here is how I spent my summer vacation, 1972. This is hands down my favorite story in this comic. So it's about, I don't know if it's autobiographical or whatever, but it's this guy's just walking around. Marv, I guess, is Marv Harvey? I don't know. And he's just telling another buddy about what he did for summer vacation. And what did he do in summer vacation? I mean, look at the art, Some of you would call it primitive, some of them call indie, some of them call it underground, whatever you want to call it. I do enjoy it. It works perfectly for this type. Again, I love to showcase. I mean, I love Peep Show. I love Love and Rockets, So I do like this black and white independent stuff, but of course I wouldn't be showcasing this. So he's telling a story how he broke up with his wife, and he's depressed, and he's just absolutely depressed when one of his buddies shows up with this girl. And, they've been living in California, and, they kind of have a little bit of fight. And he's like, he's going to go leave. He's going to go spend the rest of the week go visiting another girl. So the narrator, is with this girl whose boyfriend, his friend, is going to see another girl. So he's like, thinking about her. So finally, he's just like, what's going on? So he's like, what should I do? Should I hit on her? She's my buddy's girl, But my buddy, he left to go talk to another girl. So they get it on. They're fooling around. And he says he spends a wonderful week with her. They live in that car. Like, he says it was like perfect. It was like a week of like the perfect marriage. She's all sexy, cooking food. He's coming home from work, and she's there, and they're going on a picnic trips and everything. He says every night they're having sex. And she's just saying, this is phenomenal. We get along very well, because when we go back to San Francisco, you got to look me up. So he's like, so I want to go. I'm going to take a vacation at work and go and see her. So the boyfriend comes back. Keep in mind, he was with another girl. So he's just like, I don't know what to make of this. So he plans this vacation. She's writing letters to him. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to go visit. Meanwhile, they're playing basketball. So he flies out there. He's talking about how he's scrimping and saving to buy her a gift. He's eating. He's bringing lunch to work to save money. He's worried about the bills because he really wants to take this vacation to go to San Francisco and see. So he flies out there. She gives him a big old kiss. And then, you know, he picks up, and she's just like, come on, I don't feel like having sex. Meanwhile, the boyfriend, she's still with her boyfriend, but he went to Sacramento. So she's saying no, she doesn't want to have sex. He's like, come on, you know, you're coming on too strong. So now she's talking to her boyfriend, and she's like, oh, we're going to go up to Sacramento and see his other friend. So now they drive up to Sacramento. He's talking, you know, he's like, this really stinks. You know, he flies out to see this girl, and now the girl says, let's go see her boyfriend. So now he's a third wheel, and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? You know, they're all sweet on each other. They're getting along, you know, so he storms out like, you know, he's getting all mad. He's fighting he's taking it out on this poor dog. He's being a jerk. He's like, let's get out of here. You know, poor guy, you know, you know, so now he meets the place to stay in Sacramento, that girl who owns that place is hitting on him, but he doesn't want to do anything with her, you know, because he's still thinking about the other girl. And it's just this awkward situation that, you know, and he's fighting with them, and he's like, yeah. So he spends the rest of the week just like angry and frustrated. And, you know, now they're going to bars, and it's weird. You know, he's just having problems. He's open to talk to him that they're having sex. He's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And he's just like, he yells at them, I'll kill you all, you know, what's going on? He's all frustrated and everything. And then, you know, I'm going home, I'm leaving. And if he fights all the way back to San Francisco, and he tells his friend, look, what do I do? And he's like, all right, 2 points, shoot. You know, his friend's like, I don't know what to make of it. It's just, it was just like a slice of real life, And here we got just a story of what was it like in the 60s? So these two kids are asking this old guy, what was it really like in the 60s? And he's telling like a real story. It was dirty, you know, there was violence. You know, we lived in poor areas. We would constantly get robbed. We didn't have heat or air conditioning in our apartment. It was sweaty. I was looking for work. You know, he's looking at older guys who were with younger, and he couldn't get a girl. And, you know, it's just like a very unflattering portrayal of the 60s. I don't know if this is Harvey Picard, you know, what his real life is like, you know, so he's just, again, you know, he's talking about his girlfriend who just lays in bed all day talking on the phone. He's trying to get some sweet loving, and she doesn't want to talk to her. He's not getting along with the hippies. You know, he's like you're too what's the word? Idealistic. You're not realistic. You know, and now he goes to talk to the extreme leftist guys, the college guys. You know, the revolutionary. We got to kill the billionaires and the Bolsheviks. And he's just going on like, yeah, these guys were just users. You know, trying to sound educated. And so even in the 60s, this guy was just like, because things are great now. Like now, keep in mind, this is in the 80s. He's like, I'm an old man. I got a good job. Everything's fine now. Because I would not go back to the 60s if I could. And these two guys are like, oh, you know, it's just he kind of ruins harshes their vibe. And then this was just a little interesting story about a one pager about the birth of a jazz song in a jazz club that he heard. This was an interesting little story, love story. Harvey Pike, as a kid, playing doctor with the girl in the neighborhood. You know, he's a couple of years older, kind of taking advantage of this little girl. Keep in mind, they're not really doing anything. And now he's all grown up. He just lost his job, and he's helping his dad work in the store, and he's stealing from his own father. You know, and he's overcharging and then keeping the extra. And then in comes this girl. And he's like, I remember you. He goes, don't you remember we used to play in the bushes? She goes, oh, yeah. What are you doing out here? You know, so that's the little girl that she's basically saying she's a hooker now. She's a hooker now, and her boyfriend's a pimp, and they're going to do it for a couple of more months and then save more money and then move back out to the country, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, you know what? I'm going to go visit her. So he's thinking about it. He's fighting with his mom. So now the next day he's going to go up and visit the girl, you know, that he used to play with as a kid, and he gets carried away, and he's starting to get feelings for her, you know. And then he's getting feelings for her, and he's just like, his buddy's just like, you don't get feelings for a hooker, you know what I mean? And then they talk about like pursuing his interest in the hooker. And a Mexican Tale, this is just a silly little nothing of a story, just playing tricks with the language. And here's the back cover. You know, again, Doesn't look like much, but it's just character. The plot is minimal. It's just interaction, it's dialogue, and it's just like you and your buddies just hanging out telling like lurid stories. You know, let's be realistic. We all act like it, but we all have these little dirty stories that we tell like a trusted friend. And that's what this is. And it's unapologetically non-flattering, you know, like Harvey Picard is not afraid, just like Joe Matt in the Peep Show. He's not afraid to like paint himself in a bad light. And there's a time and a place for this, and I did enjoy it. Now I got to get issue number 2, work my way up to the actual issues that I own. So thanks a lot. I'll see you tomorrow with another video.